Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today. We're super excited to talk to you today about the state of audit efficiency, talk about some research that we've done and some insights and strategies to help meet realization targets. My name is Andrew Park. I am our head of strategic partnerships and alliances. Been with SureLink for over a year, but been in the software industry for almost 2 decades, really focused on helping companies leverage software to improve their customer experience. And that's what brought me to SureLink. The software is that collaboration between the client and the firm, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. So excited to talk to you a little bit about that today. And joining me also is Alex. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So my name is Alex Vu, and I am a product marketing manager here at SureLink. Still relatively new to the company. Been here for about 4 months now, but actually was a former public accounting, specifically in the audit assurance space. So definitely was excited when I got the opportunity to work at SureLink, and just really saw a lot of the value that the tool and the platform can provide to the accounting industry as a whole. So yeah, no, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Alex. And we're excited to have your background and for you to be able to provide some of that insight as well as a practitioner. So as most of you know, SureLink is the CPA industry's leading PBC solution. We're used by over 1,100 firms serving over 650,000 clients across more than 30 countries. Over 60% of the top 200 CPA firms trust SureLink as their client collaboration portal. Don't need to spend a ton of time here. If you don't know who we are, happy to spend time after. If you want to reach out, we'll provide some contact information at the end. But let's jump into it. And Alex, why don't you walk us through the agenda?
Definitely. So during today's webinar, we'll cover survey insights, starting by reviewing just how the survey was conducted by us, including just some of the demographic information, key groups that we surveyed to gather the information. And then we'll head into the key findings. So we'll dive into the most pressing challenges facing the accounting industry today. So this includes anything from budget overruns and missed deadlines, realization targets, and the obstacles to achieving them, common audit pain points, and the biggest challenges engagement teams face today. Lastly, we'll cover and explore the practical solutions that can help firms address these challenges and improve the overall efficiency for your teams. Over to the right, you'll see that there is a QR code. If you scan that, you'll get a direct access to our full white paper where you can explore all the survey results in detail. Feel free to peruse them on your own time outside of the webinar if you're interested. And if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to submit them through the Q&A function within Zoom. Lastly, and this is more just an FYI for everybody, we plan on sending around a copy of the webinar replay and white paper to all registrants in case you don't get a chance to download it right now. So with that, and actually I do see a question. Is this webinar going to be open to CPE? And just quick answer, yes. We do have CPE available. If you are if you watch this through to the end, there will be instructions in terms of how to, I guess, earn that CPE. All right. So with that, I'll pass it over to Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. And just another housekeeping point, we will have some polls throughout the presentation as well. So give you an opportunity to help share some information on what your firm is doing, as well as learn from others that are attending the webinar. So look forward to that. So just to give a little bit of background into this project, and before we jump right into the results, we want to take a few minutes just to help you understand where the results come from. SureLink is constantly looking for ways to innovate our software to help solve the main challenges that public accounting firms face today. To do this, we continually talk with our clients, but we also conduct third-party research to better understand the broader market needs, to understand how clients and non-clients are out there, what challenges they face, and how to solve those. And so the sample that you'll see, a lot of the charts that you'll see come from a survey that we did that was a randomized sample of accountants. It was a double-blind study, so they didn't know it was SureLink doing it. And we're going to leverage the data today that's specifically from the auditors. These survey respondents are full-time accountants that currently work in a public accounting firm, that are either licensed as a CPA or are working towards their CPA. We surveyed everyone from associates, managers, and VP and managing directors, so good representation there. And then we have representation from all sizes of firms, from the big four down to medium regional firms. So that was kind of the demographics that we had there, and what, who we're going to be listening to. So it's your peers. And then also in the survey, we see that most of the auditors are working on between 6 and 20 audits in a year. And they're typically juggling between 2 to 5 audits at any given time. We also see that respondents were balanced across the different types of organizations that they typically audit, as well as the type of audits they are conducting. Our aim was really to ensure that we get a good representative sample across all the different types of auditors and different types of firms that are out there doing audits. And so now
Awesome.
we'll want to transition to Alex to walk us through a little bit of the key findings from the study.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. So yeah, we will dive into the key findings from our survey. Just want to give you a high level, just like quick punch of the key data points that we found. So yeah, this data highlights some of the biggest challenges firms are facing today, challenges that directly impact engagement efficiency, firm profitability, and client relationships. So one of the most striking findings is how often engagements go over budget or take longer than planned. 26% of engagements exceed their planned completion dates, while 28% of audits surpass their planned hours. This equates to nearly 1 in 4 audits that engagement teams conduct. Firms are spending more time than expected, pushing back deadlines and increasing costs unnecessarily, potentially. We'll also look at realization rates, an area that's always top of mind for firm leadership. Based on the survey, the average realization target rate for audit engagements sits at about 64%. Yet, 1 in 4 audit engagements fail to meet those targets. This highlights a disconnect between expectations and reality, one that firms must address to ideally maintain profitability in the long run. Next, we asked audit professionals about their biggest pain points. The results were pretty clear. 87% of respondents cited client delays as a common issue across all engagements. 89% also reported challenges with receiving accurate data directly from their clients. Audit teams are often stuck waiting on clients, whether it's for missing documents, unclear responses, or incomplete information, which creates bottlenecks and slows down engagements. And speaking of bottlenecks, the most overwhelming finding came from document requests. 95% of respondents said that managing document requests, whether PBC lists or other requests, is a significant challenge. Additionally, 95% reported difficulty in securing necessary and accurate support documents. This underscores a fundamental issue. The document exchange process remains one of the biggest hurdles in achieving audit efficiency. Without a streamlined way to request, track, and receive documents, teams waste valuable time chasing down information from their clients. And with that, we will jump into our first poll. So you should see this pop up on your screen, but we're interested in understanding how your firm is currently addressing common audit challenges such as budget overruns, missed deadlines, and inefficiencies in document requests. So are you implementing new technology solutions to streamline workflows? Are you increasing staff training and process standardization? Maybe you're adjusting engagement scoping and pricing strategies. Better yet, maybe you're enhancing client communication and request management. Lastly, maybe like you recognize that these are challenges, but haven't implemented a formal solution just yet. But we'd love to hear from you guys. Again, this would help us just better understand whether or not these pain points are real, whether or not these are things that understand how you guys are addressing these pain points and challenges so that we can kind of understand maybe how we want to, drive our roadmap. Looks like a fair amount of you have already answered, so I'm going to end it and also just share the results because why not? It looks like, honestly, it's pretty split across the first 4, which is kind of nice. 52% noted implementing new technology solutions to streamline workflows, which is awesome. Hopefully some sure link in there. And then 53% said enhancing client communications and request management. So awesome results all around. Something for us to think on. But yeah, thanks for answering the poll. And now we'll get back to the content.
Nice. Thanks, Alex. And yeah, interesting results on that. It's exciting to see that there are so many solutions that are out there in play today, working towards these challenges. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each one of the challenges, talk a little bit about where the data came from, how people responded. And so you'll see some of that, a little bit deeper information there. And then also get into some of the solutions that come with that as well. It sounds like a lot of you have some of that in play already. And so one of the most important takeaways from the study is that many firms are struggling with delays during the audit engagements, and that's leading to missed deadlines and budget overages. One of the questions that identified this, we asked respondents roughly what percentage of your firm's audit engagements extend beyond the original scheduled completion date for the audit. And as you can see here, most respondents estimate that between 11 and 40% of those audits are actually missing their deadlines.
Yeah. So as it relates to the 28 to 29% of Big Four and top 100 firms that experience deadline overruns, one potential explanation for this trend is the complexity of the client's engagements handled by larger firms. Obviously, the more complex the client, the more likely they have complicated activities and transactions during a period under audit. However, complexity alone doesn't really justify these delays, right? Instead, it highlights the urgent need for better processes, to optimize them across firms of all sizes. So from enhanced client coordination to streamlined workflows, firms have clear opportunities to reduce delays and achieve more timely audit completions. Beyond engagement complexity, resource constraints obviously play a significant role in these challenges, which may have a role in the 23% of engagements that encounter significant problems. Limited staffing and expertise can hinder a firm's ability to manage engagements efficiently. Additionally, firms with less advanced technology infrastructures may struggle to coordinate tasks, maintain visibility, and ensure smooth workflows, further exacerbating those delays and inefficiencies. So this reality just raises a couple critical questions for us. Do firms have the necessary resources to meet client demands effectively? And could strategic investments in technology help bridge operational gaps and reduce the frequency of these issues? So addressing these challenges isn't just about fixing these isolated issues. It's about kind of like rethinking how firms optimize their audit processes to drive efficiency and profitability just across the board.
Yeah, next, similarly, we asked respondents about roughly what percent of your firm's audit engagements exceed the budgeted number of hours for the audit. Um, again, trying to understand, is there a systemic issue here? And what we see again here is that most respondents are estimating between 21 and 40% of those audits exceed the budgeted number of hours.
Yeah. So while the Big Four reported the lowest rate of budget overages at just 18%, this likely reflects their ability to set realistic expectations, tightly manage budgets, and leverage extensive resources. So with deep talent pools and well-established processes, they can navigate even the most complex engagements while maintaining cost control. Additionally, their market dominance allows them to command premium fees, reducing the pressure to operate within razor-thin margins. In contrast to the Big Four, top 100 firms experience the highest rate of budget overruns. A key factor may be intense competition, where firms offer lower fees to win business, only to find themselves exceeding budgeted hours due to unforeseen complexities. For these firms, the challenge is clear. How do they remain competitive while maintaining profitability? Striking that balance between pricing strategy, resource allocation, and efficiency is critical to avoiding margin erosion and ensuring long-term financial sustainability.
And sorry, just looking at some of the questions as well. Just a
Yeah.
side note on that too. Please continue to put questions in there. We do have content we're going through as well. We'll answer what we can as we go through, but we will also follow up with those questions if you do put something in there and we're not able to get to that as well. So the next target we want to talk about is realization rates. This obviously is a huge issue, especially when we're looking at the state of the workforce today, understanding there are some issues, and we'll talk a little bit later about some of them like staffing and that. But profitability is a huge opportunity for most firms out there. It's another issue being called out by respondents that target realization rates are lowering, and there's challenges in hitting those targets. And so the first question that we asked around these respondents was to understand, what is your firm's target realization rate on audit engagements? And understanding that, we see target realization rates average about 64% across the firms, but they vary significantly by firm size. We did see a trend there. When we look at the big four firms, they reported an average target realization rate of 54%, much smaller, which may reflect their willingness to absorb some additional hours to maintain those client relationships and ensure engagement quality. But with that scale, right, allows them to do that. The top 100 firms lead with the highest average target realization rate at 69%, still ranging anywhere from 50% to 89%. But it suggests a strong emphasis on operational efficiency within that, size of firm. And so understanding the differences between the firm sizes and the different challenges that are there are important. Think about how your firm is engaged here and what your realization rates are like. Ultimately, these differences also highlight a key question. How can firms, regardless of size, refine their engagement strategies to improve realization rates without compromising quality? So Alex, do you want to also take a look at the next one we asked was around meeting those realization rates? So it's one thing to set the realization targets, but then we also asked them what percentage of your firm's audit engagements do not achieve target realization rates.
Yeah, so despite those conservative realization targets, 25% of audit engagements still fail to meet them, and 22% of engagements actually exceed originally quoted fees. These shortfalls highlight underlying inefficiencies caused by resource constraints, unforeseen complexities, and process bottlenecks. Non-Big Four firms, which often operate with leaner teams and fewer resources, are particularly affected, grappling with client delays, incomplete documentation, and scope creep, all of which add time and drive up costs. When engagements require significantly more hours than anticipated, firms are forced to either absorb those overages, impacting profitability, or pass them on to clients, potentially straining those relationships. The persistent challenge of meeting realization targets and staying within quoted fees underscores the need for firms to address inefficiencies in their audit workflows, whether by refining pricing strategies, improving engagement planning, or leveraging technology for better workflow automation. Firms have clear opportunities to reduce overruns and enhance their profitability overall. So taking a proactive approach isn't just about financial performance, it's essential for driving a better client experience, maintaining competitive pricing, and ensuring long-term sustainability in an increasingly challenging market. And with that comes our second polling question. So we are interested in understanding what strategies your firm is using to improve realization rates and to minimize write-offs. Are you guys refining your engagement scoping and pricing upfront? Are you leveraging technology to improve efficiency and reduce overages? Are you enhancing staff utilization, time management? Maybe you're strengthening client collaboration to reduce delays and rework? Or are you in a kind of like imbalance or in flux at the moment and struggling with realization, but haven't necessarily implemented a strategies yet? Honestly, like if none of the above work for you, we'd also just love to hear from you in the chat. Like maybe there are things that we haven't considered or other strategies that you may be utilizing. So we'll give you guys a quick minute to answer that polling question.
While that's finishing up, Alex, just a question in here around AI and increasing realization rates for firms. We do talk a little bit about that towards the end, and so we can get into that a little bit more. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Leveraging technologies, especially those that are going to help streamline and build efficiency, whether it be through AI or whether it be through better tools to get visibility into that interaction with your client. Those things do tend to see great returns on investment. I can speak to the SureLink side. We tend to see our clients that implement SureLink see a 40% time savings when it comes to that interaction with clients in evidence gathering. And so yes, anytime you are evaluating the technology, you definitely want to understand what is the ROI associated with that. And make sure that it is proven and that they're able to show that the technology is able to show the time savings and efficiency savings so it can drive towards those realization rates.
Definitely agreed. Appreciate the insights, Andrew. And I'm going to end the poll now and let's see, share the results with you guys. Again, pretty split across the board. We're seeing 51% of you saying that you leverage technology to improve efficiency and reduce overages. Love to see that. And then kind of like trickling in next is refining engagement scoping and pricing upfront. Love that. Just better communication upfront with the client, making sure that it's full transparency. There's no surprises on the back end. No one loves that. And then 42% of you mentioned enhancing staff utilization and time management. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows industry struggle right now is just staffing, talent. Like it's tough to get, I guess, the people you need when you need them, and just being able to be efficient with them, effective with them, I think is going to be really valuable in order to have sustained growth. And then let's see, last we have strengthening client collaboration to reduce delays and rework coming in at fourth. And yeah, a few of you, not too many of you, are still trying to figure out what that strategy looks like. Awesome.
Yeah, and
All right.
just to throw that out there, Alex, as well, like 14%, haven't implemented a formal strategy yet. Don't feel frustrated with that. I'm sure everybody feels like they're struggling with this. In the results, we saw that a lot of people are struggling with it, but I'm sure a lot of them also have similar initiatives in place that the rest of you have said you're working on as well. And so, one thing we're going to walk through here in a second as well is just helping you understand where the main challenges were based on the respondents in the poll. But think about how, in your role today and in your firms today, if you aren't doing anything specific, think about where are the main challenges that exist today. Make sure that those are being surfaced. If you are in a role where you can talk to your employees and understand, get their perspective on it as well, that's another great way for you to understand internally where your challenges are. Obviously, again, we went externally to understand this from a broader group, but you have employees on the front line day in and day out that understand this. So if you're not doing a debrief after engagements and understanding what went wrong, especially in those that missed timelines, that's a big opportunity that you can leverage as well.
I couldn't have said it better. All right, moving on.
Perfect. All right. So we also wanted to understand what the main challenges are that auditors are facing today. And so in this next question, we asked auditors, when an audit engagement encounters significant problems like exceeding budgeted hours, low client satisfaction, how frequently are the below reasons a major contributing factor to those problems? And they rated this based on it's often a problem, it's sometimes, or it's seldom or never an issue. And what you can see here is that 93% of auditors reporting having issues with staffing engagements with the appropriate resources. This isn't anything new. We know, given the state of the workforce today, staffing is and will continue to be an issue that exists. You think about some of the other issues with client delays, the next one over, which is, client-related issues. 87% reported sometimes or often having issues with clients providing the information on time, and 89% reporting issues with clients providing incorrect information. This is a little shocking, but understandable. There is a lot of information. If you look even further right, there's another bar there that says client frustration with the amount of data that they have to provide. 89% of people reporting that as well as being a frustration, providing low customer satisfaction. And so you think about all of the information clients have to provide, you think about how this isn't necessarily their day job. It can be a frustrating engagement with you, and it can be frustrating on your end as well, because you're dealing with clients that aren't necessarily thrilled about having to provide all of this information. So it just highlights the importance of identifying, the issues with clients, finding solutions that improve this behavior, while still providing a positive client experience. How can we find ways to increase or improve the amount of information we're getting from customers accurately the first time. How can we improve that client delay so that, the client readiness, or that we're ready as we go in to do the audit and we don't have to continually go back and forth. And think about, how are you interacting with clients today when it comes to them providing this information? Do you have a portal that they're providing? Does it provide insight into the status of the engagement without having to dive in and compare it back to a spreadsheet, or compare it back to, some other way? And so that's really a key differentiator between those that are doing this well and those that are not, having that functionality and allowing for better communication and collaboration with your clients in an efficient way.
That's right. And one of the most persistent challenges audit teams face is document requesting. So with 65% of respondents citing it as a top challenge. Managing document requests isn't just an administrative burden. It can delay engagement processes, frustrate clients, and add unnecessary back and forth between teams. The challenge doesn't stop at requesting documents, unfortunately. Assessing and validating the accuracy and completeness of client provided information is an even bigger hurdle. This reported in at 71% respondents, noting it as a major pain point. When firms receive incomplete or inaccurate data, it triggers extensive follow-up, extending timeliness, and draining efficiency from the audit process and just the audit engagement team as a whole. So not only, so I guess this next stat is probably the most telling of all, but only 36% of support document requests are actually complete and correctly on the first attempt. So this basically means that nearly 2/3 of requests require some kind of additional clarification, additional follow-up questions for the client. Again, this creates honestly just a huge bottleneck that impacts the engagement timeline and realization rates. These findings reinforce a critical takeaway, though. Firms must find a way to streamline document collection, improve accuracy, and minimize rework, whether that's through better client collaboration, automation, or centralized request tracking. Optimizing this process is key to driving efficiency and reducing audit delays. So we'll jump into our next question, where we'll dive a little bit deeper into requesting and assessing support documents. So as shown by the survey findings, document requests and the inevitable back and forth with clients are among the biggest bottlenecks in the audit engagements. That often leads to delays, inefficiencies, and frustrations, not just for the audit team, but for clients as well.
So, and Alex, if I could just jump in real quick, just another thought on those top challenges. We asked auditors to identify their top 3 challenges. Not like the first question we talked about, right, was around when an engagement goes poorly, what are the main reasons for it? Then we just asked, what are the main challenges that you face during these audits? And those are the 2 that came up, the highest, around requesting and assessing that documentation. Now you think about trying to retain your own talent. You think about trying to entice talent to come to your firm. Finding ways to reduce the mundane, repetitive tasks, like continually following up with customers to request the right documentation, or continually going back and forth over email to try to figure out, where the right documentation is, or that they didn't upload it in the first place. If you can eliminate that and streamline that, so that auditors can spend time on the pieces of the audit journey that they love, that they would rather spend time on, the parts that are, funner than just requesting all of that data. That's another way you can differentiate your firm from an employee experience standpoint as well. Allowing them to focus again more on those things that they want to work on, versus being head against the wall, constantly trying to get the right documentation.
Yeah, and just adding to that, I mean, reallocating that time, like Andrew said, to more fun, more just like complex areas of an audit are going to be hugely impactful, bring additional value for your client. But then the other side of it potentially could be that like you're spending more time talking to clients actually interacting with them, not just like asking follow-up questions and talking about the engagement. Like maybe you're developing that relationship. Again, like a lot of these engagements are going to be year over year. You're going to be working with them, rolling forward, an engagement, and like wanting to make sure you develop that relationship and like maybe expanding like or identifying like additional opportunities for your firm as you develop that relationship. So there's a lot of potential value here by that you can generate by limiting the amount of just like the tedious and the mundane tasks that comes with just like PPC requests and the like. So yeah. All right, so we'll jump in. And just so that we're all clear, but the process of requesting documents remains a major struggle across firms of all sizes, unsurprisingly. 39% of respondents identified it as a high area of struggle, while 56% describe it as a moderate area of struggle. The root causes of these challenges often include unclear initial requests, leading to unnecessary back and forth, clients' limited understanding of the document requirements, and inefficiencies in managing and tracking requests, especially without the right tools. Smaller firms, in particular, those outside the Big Four, face the greatest difficulties, with 47% calling this a major issue, often due to fewer resources and less robust technology infrastructures. Top 100 firms, excluding the Big Four, experienced moderate struggles, with 36% identifying document requests as a significant issue, whereas Big Four firms reported the least amount of friction, with only 17% citing document requests as a major struggle, likely due to their advanced technology or established processes, whatever that might be. These findings highlight a clear takeaway, though, that resource constraints and limited technology adoption amplify document request challenges. Firms that better request management, that prioritize better request management, automation, and client collaboration tools will be best positioned to reduce friction, improve efficiency, and enhance audit workflows. So to me, that screams, what is it? Excel workbooks, back and forth emails. Like that's what I lived through when I was a former auditor, and that's just like the back and forth of just like the day to day, and it takes so much time away from just like being inside a work paper, performing like testing, or even just like reviewing documentation and work papers, prepared financial statements, and the like. I think the idea that like Excel and email is kind of that like default needs to be, I guess, shifted away, hopefully. I think with AI and new technologies from anywhere and everywhere these days, I think firms may want to rethink that model.
Yeah, and on the flip side, Alex, the client experience, we don't have specific client survey data in here as well, but in the research we've done and in the interviews that we've done, this is also a high level of struggle for your clients as well. And so, talk about that client experience, those firms that can make this a positive, make streamline this so that it becomes as easy as possible, and efficient as possible for them as well. That's another way that you can differentiate that customer experience, because again, this is another area when it comes to PPC and document requests that they're getting, that they complain about as well, when there's not an efficient process, when it's not easy for them to identify what they've already uploaded and what they still have to upload. Again, that just can be a really frustrating part on their side as well as on your employee side.
Definitely. All right, so once PPCs and supporting documents are received, the audit team must verify that the information is correct, complete, and aligns with the original request. This is the, I guess, phase that we'd like to call the assess phase, which involves validating document integrity, identifying discrepancies, and determining whether additional follow-ups are needed to ensure an audit stays on track. So this phase is often riddled with inefficiencies, as audit teams must go through extensive back and forth communication to clarify incomplete or inaccurate documentation. This not only delays engagements, but also frustrates teams and strains client relationships. So when I hear that, I'm thinking, well, maybe the communication wasn't all there. Again, like leading back into that email and Excel, I guess, back and forth. Right? it's so difficult to kind of communicate what you need in words oftentimes via an Excel spreadsheet. So maybe it leads to like a phone call, and that like takes away time from, again, like not only the client's day to day, but your day to day, and like preparing work papers or reviewing whatever that might be in the engagement. I think just better lines of communication, understanding where, I guess, process improvements can be uh, done is going to be a huge part of that. So this phase of an audit engagement stands out as a major pain point with an overwhelming percent of people, 95%, actually reporting challenges in assessing information and securing necessary support documents. 49% noted this as a high area of struggle, whereas 46 considered it a moderate area of struggle. These findings highlight a universal challenge across firms of all sizes, emphasizing the urgent need for process improvements. So because the assessment process is oftentimes overly manual, repetitive, it pulls the audit professionals away from higher value activities, whether that's audit testing, from preparing client financial statements, or maybe other complex stages of engagement. Things that come to mind could be like revenue recognition, sample testing, um, any preparing like an amortization schedule, whatever that might be. All these inefficiencies are going to lead to just team frustration, with staff spending an excessive amount of time chasing down documents instead of focusing on the more strategic audit work. And then from the client side, you're going to create some friction. I mean, repeated follow-ups for clarification create unnecessary tension and slow down the engagement. So to overcome these obstacles, firms should consider leveraging technology and process improvements to streamline document validation, automate follow-ups, and reduce redundant tasks. By doing so, audit teams can free up time for high-impact activities, enhance engagement quality, and deliver a better overall client experience.
Yeah, and this just highlights again another issue when it comes to the audit, that understanding your full audit journey and helping clients to understand that journey can be very beneficial in this regard as well. Obviously, you can solve a lot of these through, and we'll talk about it in a minute, through some tech and through just process improvement. But a lot of times it's hard to assess a documentation, or assess that you have the right document until you get into actually doing some of the audit. And at that point, you have to go back to the client, and you're waiting for them to provide information. And so if you don't have a way to, or if you haven't communicated that journey yet with your customers as you're going through these audits, so that they understand expectations on their part, they understand expectations on how and where to reply. And hopefully, if you have a technology like a SureLink that's allowing you to collaborate inside the tool itself and collaborate on individual documents, that will be a big help as well, because they can understand at any point where that lies.
Yeah, exactly. So we will head into our last polling question. So if you could change one thing about your firm's current document request workflow, what would it be? We're really just trying to understand some of your biggest pain points, so that your team can try and incorporate that, so that our team, sorry, can try to incorporate that into the Sterling platform. Ideally, we take this feedback, and it will help us shape our product roadmap in the long run. So we'll give it a minute, see how things are going.
So while we're doing that, I can answer. There are a couple of the questions that come through that I don't think have been answered yet. So let me jump into here. Somebody asked about could SureLink be used for a fractional CFO business? It seems to be focused on audit engagements. We're talking a lot about audit engagements today, because that's the data that we're focused on and talking about that audit. However, we do have clients that leverage us for a number of different things, tax assurance, as well as fractional CFO work. We even work in some other industries around due diligence, collecting for M&A engagements as well. And so if you have a specific use case you want to talk to us about, happy to follow up with you about that and talk about how we've done that with other clients as well. Another question here that talks about, is there any tech that can get a client to provide what you ask for instead of them thinking what would be better? I don't know any specific technology that can force the client to provide, what you're asking for. However, one thing that we heard loud and clear from this result, as well as talking with our clients, is the need to help facilitate that assessment of the document and assessing that it is the right document that is provided. Again, not just to your point, what they think would be better. That's something that we're actively working on today and we'll have launched here in the next little while. Alex will talk a little bit more about that at the end of this presentation. But we hear you, that is a big struggle that others struggle with as well. And so it is a focus of ours.
Awesome. Well, we will move on. Looks like we got a lot of responses, but we'll go through them at a later date, knowing that those are short answer responses. But I'll kick it back over to you, Andrew.
Perfect. Well, as we talk about these inefficiencies that we have, obviously we're driving towards, and we've talked a little bit already about the technology and how that helps overcome it. One way that many firms are attacking these challenges is rethinking their entire tech stack. Finding the solutions that solve their unique challenges. Finding the solutions that help them in their, again, in the situation that they're in today. We've seen that some of these results vary by size of firm. Obviously, it's going to vary by your firm compared to others. It is important to understand that reevaluating technology is not a one-size-fits-all. Just because one technology works well in one situation doesn't mean it's always going to. But when done correctly, you can automate and streamline much of that audit process. And you can find ways to positively impact that client experience as well. I mentioned this briefly before, but as you evaluate technology, it's easy to get caught up in the bells and whistles and easy to get caught up in, the new shiny toy. But you really do need to ensure that it does provide an ROI, that it's proven. And that's just something easy to do for a software that actually does provide an ROI. And so make that a top priority as you're reviewing technology partners and understanding what kind of a time savings you're going to get, what kind of an ROI you'll get specifically for that technology that you will be implementing. And then when it comes to using tech to overcome these audit efficiencies, hopefully today we've given you some things to think about and some insights into some of the systemic issues and inefficiencies that are facing you and your peers. Here it's inhibiting your ability to adhere to timelines, meet budgets, achieve target realization rates. These are real issues that people are facing, and they're dangerous issues given the state that we're all in, trying to meet more demand with less people. It's important to be able to solve these core pain points, whether it be through technology, whether it be through process improvement, understanding where you sit among these pain points, which ones are the ones that you're still dealing with, and then finding ways to improve that. We see that there are still huge inefficiencies and dissatisfaction when it comes to requesting and assessing documents and collaborating with clients. And so by modernizing that technology, the technology you use today, you can automate and streamline your workflows and leverage AI to increase your efficiencies, ultimately leading to improved client readiness, improved accuracy, and reducing delays. There was a question in there, and we'll get some more takeaway around, I think there was some questions around like testing strategies and some of that, but then also asking, with AI efficiencies, do you worry that that would take away from reliance on certain documentation standards? And this is a good question to raise. As you're looking at vendors that offer AI, there are a whole slew of challenges and things to be cautious of and to be careful of. You are protecting valuable data, invaluable data from the world's top companies out there, from many individuals as well. And so keeping that secure is obviously very important, but also leveraging AI in the right ways. It's not going to change the standards. It's not going to change the way we approach the audit, or it shouldn't. There are reasons that you have, obviously those standards in place today. But AI can be leveraged to improve some of those mundane tasks. And Alex again can talk a little bit about this in a minute, but finding ways to eliminate some of the back and forth and assessing the documentation, finding ways to better schedule and staff the engagements. All of these things are being worked on today. We're seeing some good strides in our partners, our tech partners that we have that we integrate with. And so if you have more questions specifically to that, we can definitely jump in. But the point here is that there is a huge opportunity in the market today for those that get this right. Everybody's challenged with this. Everybody has challenges with client satisfaction, with doing more with less people. This is a good thing. It might not seem like it, but it can be if you're willing to invest the time and effort and money to solve some of these problems. As you solve the pain for your client, you're going to boost realization rates because you're becoming more efficient, your processes are becoming more efficient, but then you're also differentiating yourself around your client experience and improving that client retention. So to talk a little bit more specifically about SureLink, SureLink is a key part of how you can solve some of your biggest challenges at your firm that we talked about today. It's been, we identified that through that independent research we did. And our easy-to-use tool, best-in-class client portal, enables your team to get the right documents on time from your clients. It enables you to increase your team's and engagement efficiency, as well as to differentiate your firm by providing a best-in-class client experience that is coordinated and consistent across the entire firm. I mentioned before, like we're talking about audit today, but providing a consistent experience across the entire firm, whether it be for tax or for any other engagements that you might have going on out there, this is a great way to provide a consistent experience for your client. And we also enable your firm to meet your security and compliance objectives by getting the most sensitive information out of email and to a better document retention policy and technology. And like I mentioned before, we do help firms get those engagements done on time and on budget. And with most firms that switch to SureLink or implement this for the first time, they're reporting over 40% time savings when it comes to that evidence gathering and back and forth with the client.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. And to just jump right into it, a little bit more about SureLink, but we are excited to give you an exclusive kind of sneak peek at an upcoming feature that we designed to enhance SureLink's request list management tool. Definitely based this decision and this product expansion on the survey results that we just shared with you. But as we highlighted earlier, document assessment and validation is consistently ranked as the most painful part of an audit, with 71% of respondents identifying it as a significant challenge. Adding to this frustration, again, only 36% of document requests are fulfilled correctly on that first attempt, creating inefficiencies that drain valuable time from your teams. So to address these pain points, our new feature is designed to reduce the amount of time spent reviewing these fulfilled requests, ensuring a smoother validation process, creating a more intuitive user experience for reviewing PBCs, improving document navigation, making it easier to locate key information and analyze pieces of information received, and streamline follow-ups, allowing teams to quickly request clarifications or additional details from clients. So this enhancement aims to simplify workflows, improve client collaboration, mostly team collaboration as well, and reduce bottlenecks, ultimately helping audit teams work smarter and more efficiently. So with that, here is the sneak peek. This is going to look a little bit different. It kind of looks like a PDF preview, but this is built directly in line with SureLink's request list management tool. So if we, on the right-hand side, so I guess to clarify, there will be a new preview button as a part of request list management. On the right-hand side, you'll find all the essential document navigation tools you'd expect, a search bar at the top, scrolling functionality, and the ability to jump to specific pages for quick review. But again, this is just a basic preview. There's not a lot of value with just having that. So we wanted to build it out even more. So moving on to that middle section, we've introduced tagged comments, a game changer for audit teams. So now instead of adding general comments or tracking follow-ups in a separate spreadsheet, you can actually highlight specific sections of a document, whether it's an invoice amount that doesn't match the request or a section of a lease agreement that you need clarification on. You can add a comment directly within the document, specifically like signaling like where in the document you have a question on, so that it's a little bit more of a clear form of communication as you're having those client back and forths. And even better, you can tag team members or client contacts to direct questions to the right person instantly. No more guesswork or back and forth emails. This makes communications a lot clearer, a lot faster, and a lot more efficient at the end of the day when working with your clients to get the right support documentation. And of course, as mentioned before, this fully integrates with SureLink's request list management tool. So on the left panel, you'll still be able to track request statuses, whether they're outstanding or fulfilled. And then once you've seen that it comes through and received by your team, you'll have a chance to review the document in this previewer so that you can accept or return it with just a click. So this new feature is really designed to streamline collaboration, reduce efficiencies, and improve PBC turnaround times.
Alex,
So,
just quick question that's in there since you're the product expert.
yeah.
Actually, Katie may have already responded to it, but there was a question about PDFs versus Excel. Will this functionality work on both?
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to work across a large variety of file types. So PDF is definitely it will definitely work on PDFs, Excel file types, Word documents. Yeah, we actually have some OCR capabilities in this as well. So you can expect this to work on like file images. So it could be like a JPEG file or PNG file. Like I'm thinking the instances where your client is still like a person who relies on paper documents. Like you could take a picture with your phone and then have it previewed and like ran through this preview as well. So I mean, I think we're trying to cover all our bases at the end of the day, just trying to make it again as easy as possible for you on the audit side. But yeah, awesome.
And then just one last question here we'll touch on. I know we're getting to the end, but there's a question around, is this software, does it compete with like binder software? Or where does it fit in? The SureLink software really is focused and specifically designed to help you collaborate with your clients in the requesting of the documents and assessing that documentation. And then integrating into those other binder softwares or other softwares you may be using to do some of the analysis that you're doing during those audits. And so it actually fits in place with some of those. Now, that's not to say some of those softwares may have a PBC list offering that allows for basic PBC communication with clients. But we do have a lot of clients that are switching from using just that basic PBC functionality to SureLink to really drive a better client experience and get those efficiencies, specifically around this part of the journey.
Exactly. No, definitely a complimentary experience, if anything. All right. So moving into the just more administrative type of things. So as mentioned before, CPE is available for today's webinar. It's super easy. All you need to do is download the eMark app, which you can do by scanning the QR code on the screen, which will take you directly to the download page in Apple or Google's App Store. Next, take a quick quiz on what we covered today, and once you pass, you get your CPE credit. Again, don't worry about if you don't get a chance to scan it today. No worries. We'll be sending out a recording of the webinar along with step-by-step instructions via email. So if you miss the QR code now, no worries. You'll have everything you'll need.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this was able to, either confirm those challenges you feel day in and day out, or give you some new insight into some of the challenges that other people are facing as well. And then again, hopefully we help give you a little start into where you might want to focus and look to get, to improve some of those processes that you have today and some of those challenges.
Awesome. Well, have a good day, guys.